Good afternoon, everyone. This is Matt McGonigal with RetireCo. I want to thank all of you for joining us today for our webinar. We're going to be introducing our brand new final expense platform, and I think everyone on the call today should be really pretty excited about this endeavor. It's something that a lot of our agents have been asking for, and while we've always had a real slew of opportunities for our agents to sell life insurance and a number of different capacities and platforms wherein they can do that, this is really the first time that we've really elevated our final expense platform, and I think you'll see not only with the carriers that we've aligned ourselves with, the great partnership we have with Stevens Matthews Marketing, and also the technology that we've put in place on our dashboard dedicated exclusively to final expense products. You're going to find that this really can be your home for this product set, and ultimately we feel that it's an unmatched compensation model, technology model, and ultimately a delivery model. So really thrilled to have everybody with us today on the call. Also joining me as our presenter today, this is Tessa Wolf. She's with Stevens Matthews Marketing, our partner for a number of our health insurance products, Medicare supplement products, and of course our final expense products. Tessa is the Vice President of Life Marketing there at Stevens Matthews, and I'll be turning it over to her shortly. What I wanted to do first off is just, again, thank everyone for joining us today. Really had a large number of registrations for this webinar. Of course, this call is being muted right now, so if you have questions, please submit those using the chat or Q&A feature of WebEx. As always, if you're watching this as a recording later, you can submit it, or questions can be submitted to info@retireco.com, or you can navigate in your dashboard to the final expense tab, which I'm going to be showing you shortly, and reach directly out to team members there that will be able to assist you. So with that said, I want to go ahead and jump right in to our presentation today. First thing that I'd like to do is really just kind of draw attention to the dashboard that all of you here aligned with RetireCo have an opportunity to work with. And once you're inside your dashboard, what you're going to quickly find is we have a dedicated section for all of our products. So as many of you know, we offer products from about 405 carriers. It's virtually every fixed life or health or accident type of product. It also encompasses all of the property and casualty insurance for both personal and commercial lines. We have probably somewhere in the neighborhood of around 14,000 products from different carriers available nationwide here at RetireCo. Today's focus obviously is going to be on the life insurance product division and the life insurance side of our business. So the first thing I'd like to really do is just draw your attention to the fact that you'll have our products tab here over on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see one area of interest is our product and commission search tool. There you can search for commissions, you can review product options, you can review carriers, search by type of product, search by commission level, so on and so forth. So a lot of different things you can do inside that new product search tool set. That's for all of our life and health products. The next thing you can do is look at all the different drop-down and all the different products we have available. Again, today we're focusing on that life insurance tab, and you're going to see we have two offerings here. We have traditional, and then we have final expense. Right now I'm currently kind of looking at our traditional life insurance channel, and I just want to touch on that briefly and basically just to give you kind of a little bit of a differentiator there first. First of all, our traditional life insurance products is going to encapsulate a lot of the term insurance, the traditional whole life insurance, a number of the universal life insurance products, index universal life, that advanced case design, corporate-owned life insurance, so on and so forth. So we have a whole host of options for you when it comes to life insurance. If you click on our traditional tab, that's going to bring you into the contracting, quoting, and support for all of those life insurance products that are not final expense. So again, that traditional tab is going to take you to all of those traditional insurance products that are out there. What we've done now is we've separated out and we've built out an entirely new tab dedicated exclusively to final expense. And again, this is something a lot of our agents were asking for, and this is something that we really want to go out there and just deliver out to you. When you click on our final expense tab, what you're going to find is that we have a dedicated page exclusively for final expense. These are all being delivered through our exclusive partnership there with Stevens Matthews Marketing. Really pretty exciting to have this available to you. What this is going to do is give you one single place where you can go, learn about the products and the carriers that are available, explore those products and carriers, and you'll see we've made the entire process very, very smooth for you. So a little bit of information about the products. With all of our agents, they have the opportunity at any level of contracting with us to earn up to 90% commission or 90% of premium as a factor of commission. This is absolutely unheard of in our industry. We find most agents are reduced quite drastically in the final expense markets, particularly if they're inexperienced or haven't done a lot of sales in the past. But again, all of our agents, even our brand new to the industry agents, have the opportunity to earn those commissions up to 90%. Our experienced agents can actually earn all of the commission. 115% seems to be the cap in most states, but if a commission were to go higher than that, you have opportunities to even earn higher commissions than that. So again, you're going to find the commission rates on these products are extremely competitive. Due to our relationship and working as a wholesaler, we're always able to offer our agents those very high-level top compensation. So again, compensation here at RetireCo for these final expense products be as high as you can find in the country. There's really no cap on how much you can earn or how quickly you can move through our tiers. You never have to reapply. You never have to come back in and ask us for higher comp. As you earn those compensation points, you're going to move right up through, and you're going to continue to earn more and more on these products. Making your life easy for you, we've pulled everything into the final expense dashboard. The first thing you'll find is if you're ready to get contracted, you'll be able to click on the contracting. It's immediately going to pull up all the contracting paperwork that you need for that carrier. So this is available right in your dashboard. So you'll go ahead and fill this out. It's going to tell you how to submit it, where to submit it, if there's any other documentation required. So all the contracting's therein. If you haven't completed your assignment paperwork, you'll need to do that at least one time with Stevens Matthews Marketing. So this is a one-time form that you'll collect. Again, just one page, takes a couple of seconds to complete this for you. So again, everything is in one place, very smooth, very easy to find the contracting. This is traditional contracting paperwork for most of your final expense carriers. So again, I really want to reiterate that for those of you who have used our online contracting, our final expense marketplace is going to be kind of segmented out. You're going to find there's a lot of traditional paperwork. Some of these are just a form requesting an online appointment request. Others are going to be the full 20-page contract like you can see here with United of Omaha. So just keep in mind that all of your final expense contracting is going to be done directly through this final expense tab, and it's going to be done carrier by carrier for you. So again, something that's a little bit different than our online contracting, but we felt this was the best way to kind of silo and put a fence around the final expense offering. So again, very easy to get contracting. The next thing you're going to find is if you're looking to get a quote. We've also made this very easy for you. Lots of different ways you can get quotes for your final expense products. One of the big things that we really want to focus on the fact that this is a very simple to sell product. It's a very easy to understand product, and the marketplace for these products is absolutely exploding. I know Tessa will talk a little bit about that as well when she takes over and starts presenting in a few moments, but I just want everyone to keep in mind that there are a tremendous number of people out there that need some sort of insurance, life insurance for final expense, for burial, just for basic purposes at end of life. A lot of people are losing that coverage as they retire and the employer coverage is no longer available. A lot of people would purchase term insurance back in the term boom, and they've now exhausted or outlived those policies. It may be very difficult for them to buy term. They may no longer be healthy enough to qualify for a lot of the traditional products like whole life or universal life that's out there. So again, the need for final expense is really just exploding, and it's one reason why we've really put so much emphasis on building up this section of our dashboard, building up our product portfolio, and we want to make this technology readily available to our agents to make your life very, very easy. So again, when it comes to quoting, you're going to find with almost every carrier you'll have the ability to access a rate guide. You can pull out your calculator and you can figure out exactly what the cost is per the type of death benefit you're looking for very, very, very quickly. So almost every carrier is going to have a rate sheet. You'll be able to use a calculator on your smartphone. Most of you could probably do the math in your head, but again, very, very easy to quote this business. The next thing you're going to find is if the carrier offers an online quoting portal, we're going to give you access to that directly from your dashboard as well. So again, in this case, United of Omaha has a standalone online quoting. So you can go directly into their online quoting system. United of Omaha also offers you an individual agent or producer login where you can go back in and actually access the kind of the backside of everything with United of Omaha. Again, we've incorporated a link directly into the dashboard for you. If you want to go ahead and get the the mobile app where you can actually run quotes, and with a couple of our carriers you can even submit apps right through your smartphone, we're giving you a link here where you can click the button to go ahead and get the app for your Apple phone, and we also have the link where you can go ahead and get that app for your Android-driven phone. So again, all the different ways you can access information, rate, and quote this product, we have available right from your dashboard. So again, a lot of different ways to do that. Not all of the carriers are going to have all of these tools for you. So for an example, with Aetna, we have the same contracting process. You're going to click here. You can download the contracting paperwork. But when you want to go ahead and get a quote with the Aetna group, what you're going to find is all we have for them is the rate guide. So again, here you're going to want to reference that rate guide, get a little bit more familiar with it, but you'll find that we have included a lot of different tools and a lot of different ways to help you. So to the extent that we can make something available with any one of these carriers and any one of these final expense products, you're going to find it's all housed right here inside your dashboard. So again, a number of carriers out there. There's some different reasons, different features, different benefits to each one of these carriers. You might choose an AIG because they're extremely competitive and have some great rates. You might go with the Foresters or the United of Omaha name because it's so popular and has that brand name recognition. Maybe there's some other products that you're looking at because they have competitive rates for smokers. Maybe they don't have a height weight restriction. I know Tessa will talk a little bit about this today in her presentation, but there's a number of reasons why we have so many different carriers on this platform. And our goal again here at RetireCo is always to do what's in the best interest of our clients. And by doing this, we are bringing to the table all the final expense companies that are out there that are really competitive and giving you a real opportunity to tap into those and access them all from one place within your dashboard. So with that said, what I want to do is go ahead and turn everything over here to Tessa Wolf. She is with Stevens Matthews Marketing, and she is going to be taking over from here and delivering a presentation on the final expense marketplace, the products, and just a little bit more insight as an introduction to the final expense market. So with that, Tessa, if you're there, I'll go ahead and let you start taking over from this point.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Happy to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. I have quite a bit of information for you concerning the final expense marketplace. We're going to go through a basic what is it and how does it work so that when you look at all of those product-specific materials for each of those carriers that you're seeing, you're going to be able to apply that knowledge and understand what you're looking at a little bit easier. So what you will see in here, as I mentioned, for the most part, is not product-specific, but I'm going to throw out some verbal examples for you of how those would apply to some of the different carriers. So the first thing I have for you, of course, is what is final expense insurance. Basically, that is going to be a simple policy designed to cover any end-of-life financial expenses. Those plans are typically filed as a whole life product, and the costs that we generally look at when we're thinking final expense market are going to include things like those last medical bills that they didn't have time to get paid off, any funeral costs that are involved with burial or cremation, and any other small bills that might have existed for that insured, things like a credit card or maybe a small balance on an automobile loan. Many people commonly actually refer to this product as burial policies or whole life insurance instead of final expense. I do want to go through some terms and vocabulary that are involved with these types of products. I get questions on these types of terms regularly, so I want to go through those and just talk about each of those a little bit. These products are all simplified issue, and what that means is they are non-medical. They are not going to get a visit from an examiner to go over medical history for an exam. We're not going to do any blood draws, no urine specimens, EKGs. We're not going to go get those medical records. None of that is going to be involved with this. It is going to be you, your client, medical questions, and then the underwriting process with the carriers. So that is a simplified issue process because we are eliminating all of those medical requirements. The other type of platform that we have is a guaranteed issue. We do have 3 products that this applies to, and guaranteed issue is just what it says it is. There are no medical questions. Everyone is issued coverage regardless of their medical history, as long as that client meets the product criteria, primarily being issue age range, state approvals, applications are completed correctly. They're not going to get kicked out for their medical history. Truly guaranteed issue. So there is a difference there. Level is a term that you will see within your product materials. That is going to be an option that is available as long as your state approval is there for the product. Level means the death benefit is going to be same from the day it is purchased and effective until the end of the policy or if it is canceled. That is not going to change at any given time. Then we also have the terms graded and modified. You are going to see in some instances where graded and modified come into play with a product with one of our carriers, and in some cases only one of those might be the option that you have in addition to the level. So at any time, you could see 2 outcomes with the graded and the modified coming into play. It could be a reduced death benefit for the first 2 to 3 years, meaning if we, for example, have a policy that was purchased for $10,000, the first 2 to 3 years you may see a reduced benefit of 30, 40, 75% of that death benefit, and then the 3rd or the 4th year they're going to get that full $10,000 coverage, and then it will stay level for the remainder of the policy. The other possibility when we're looking at graded or modified is a return of premium plus a percentage that was paid within the first 2 to 3 years. Typically what you will see is the first 2 to 3 years when we have this is 110, 120% return of premium. And then again, once we reach that 3rd or 4th policy year, you're going to see the full death benefit come into effect and then remain the same throughout the end of the policy. Maturity date. This is the insured's age at which the policy ends because we have reached the full end of the policy. That typically is age 100 or 120. Most of the time it will be age 100. Cash value. This is available on these plans. They frequently build a cash value. However, you will not see an increased growth that is going to surpass the death benefit. That will always be the amount of the death benefit or less. And an endowment, when we reach the maturity age of the policy, if your insured is still alive, that cash value, which equals the death benefit unless they have taken any loans, will then be paid to the insured. So they would still get their benefit from their life insurance policy if they reach maturity age and the policy then endows. I want to go through some of the product designs and how some of these are built so that you have an idea of what you're going to be looking at and how this can apply to our final expense market. Issue age ranges for this market are typically 40 to 85. Now I can tell you that that is of course not absolute. Just as an example for you, Aetna is issue ages 45 to 89, so they actually surpass that basic maximum issue age that is generalized in the marketplace. Then we have Mutual of Omaha, which is kind of right in line with that at 45 to 85 on their issue ages. And then you also have another oddity with Assurity Life Insurance that actually starts at age 0 and goes up to 80. So we can issue juveniles on the policy that is offered from Assurity. Death benefit ranges typically start on the low end anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 and then typically max out at 40. You will, of course, see some differences in there when you're looking at product-specific materials. Mutual of Omaha is exactly right in line with that, $2,000 to $40,000. However, you have Assurity that starts at $5,000 on the low end and then goes to a maximum of $50,000. And then we have, as another kind of an oddity in this little bit of a bracket, is United Home Life starts at $5,000 on your low end. And on a simplified basis, for your very healthy seniors, we can issue as much as $100,000 in death benefit. So that'll get you up into that higher face amount range that someone else might be looking for. Again, we have the level graded and modified death benefit type of options available with all of these products. Some will only have level and graded or level and modified, and then you will see some that have all three options available. Mutual of Omaha is one that offers level and graded. Assurity and Aetna, as an example, will offer you all three. And then North Carolina is a little bit of an odd state when it comes to this. If any of you are in North Carolina, you will only see that level option available. They do not allow products to issue modified or graded policies. So in the state of North Carolina, it's either you can qualify answering all of those questions or you are not acceptable. Again, the maturity age range is typically 100 or 120. Premiums for these policies, once they are issued, are never going to change. They will never increase. They will never decrease from the time they are issued until the policy has run its course or been surrendered. Death benefits will never decrease. I know I mentioned with the graded and the modified options, you have lower death benefit options in the first 2 to 3 years, but then that death benefit is going to increase. They will never, ever decrease. Policies, of course, cannot be canceled as long as the premiums are being paid for these policies. You will see some of these products when you are looking through product-specific information that there are additional coverage options that you can add to the base policy itself. The most common of those is going to be an accidental death benefit rider. You might see a few other things, but that's going to be the most common. They don't typically give you a lot of options to load up these policies and make them really benefit rich, because that's not what people in the senior market tend to be looking for. They're just looking for something to cover those end-of-life expenses. So when you're looking through product-specific information for any of our carriers, many, many times you will see a chart. It will look similar to this. And again, this is very generic information. This is not specific to any one product or carrier that we're offering. But I wanted to show you this so you would see kind of what you're going to be looking at in many of these cases. In the level, you will see the full range of what's available within the product for a person who is able to answer every medical history question no. And as you'll see in this last box, it actually says all sections A, B, and C, if you have all three, must be answered no in order to be eligible. So that's going to be the full range of the benefits that are there. Then if you look at the graded option, which is typically your second option, we have to have all questions in sections A and B no, and then we can have yes answers in section C. And this is very common for a graded option, that you will then see a reduction in the death benefit the first 2, maybe 3 years, and then the coverage starts the first day of the beginning of the next year. Now I will throw out, as you see here, the accidental death. For all of these policies, regardless of which one they're offered, any accidental deaths are covered from day one. It is only illness-related deaths. If you have someone who qualifies into a graded or a modified category, that will then be reduced in the death benefit. Another thing you will see changing for graded and modified versus the level is a change in the issue ages. Your minimum issue age will go up, and your maximum issue age will come down as to what can be issued. Same thing on the death benefit. Typically, the minimum, though, does not go up. The minimum typically stays on the low end, but that maximum will definitely be reduced from what is offered from the level benefit. I do want to go through a little bit of underwriting information for you so you know what to expect once you have sold an application. And again, it's a simplified process, of course, unless you're selling that guaranteed issue plan where there's nothing asked, nothing qualified. This is going to be some simplified underwriting, what to expect information. But again, no exam No labs are taken, no medical records are getting involved. It is quite literally the application, and then your MIBs and your prescription database searches. Medical history questions, again, these are broken down into anywhere from 1 category up to 3. So if you only have that level option, everything is going to be in that first section. If you have 2, being a level and a graded, you're going to see 2 medical history sections. And if you have level graded and modified, we're going to have 3. They're going to be broken down so that you can determine which one of these options your applicant falls into. Medical history questions are going to have a specific amount of time listed when they're talking about any of those conditions in the question itself. You're going to see questions that say, have you ever, in the last 12 months, in the last 24 months, in the last 5 years. There are some that will actually say, are you currently? So those are very important. Seniors like to disclose everything about their entire medical history throughout their entire lifetime. It is important that they understand we're only asking for a specific amount of time. Oversharing will not work out in their favor. So that is important that, you know, these time frames are adhered to when you're talking about any medical conditions. Phone interviews may or may not be required depending on the product and in some cases depending on their issue age. All of that information is going to be in the product guides in the underwriting sections if you have any questions there, but it's maybe, maybe not depending on the carrier. Now I can tell you for the carriers that require that telephone interview at the point of sale, Foresters is one of those carriers, and that's going to be a paper application sale. But one of the handy things that comes along with that point of sale telephone interview is you know right then and there while you're sitting with your applicant whether or not that application is going to be approved and at what option, and then all you got to do is look at the premium. Now, a nice little tip to tell you when you're doing this is before you make that phone call, make sure you have the application signed by the applicant and dated, because even if this does not work out and coverage is not offered due to MIB hits or prescription database hits, maybe they're not being 100% honest and the application is declined. That application copy still needs to be faxed into the carrier so that they can file it along with that telephone interview. That still has to go in. So make sure you get that signature before you make the phone call, because I have had some agents that's been an issue trying to get that once the coverage doesn't go through. Some of our carriers will use a drug list or a prescription list. There are certain medications that carriers will not accept because they tend to indicate a major condition that is still being treated. So if any of you are looking for that, that is something we can look at the product information that's available. Some of them will have an actual drug list that will tell you right up front if it's a decline. Height and weight charts, of course, are always going to come into play for all of these products, excluding the guaranteed issue options. And Aetna. Aetna is a simplified issue product that offers the level graded and modified, and they are the only one on the simplified issue platform that does not require height and weight guidelines. So that is something that will not come into play for that specific product. I'm going to go through some examples of some of the questions that you will be seeing on some of these applications. And the first one that I have for you is the proposed insured currently? So right now, bedridden or confined to any hospital, nursing home, long-term care facility, or skilled nursing facility, or receiving or been advised to receive care in a nursing home, hospice care, or home health care, requiring assistance with activities of daily living such as taking medications, bathing, dressing, eating, toileting, getting in and out of a chair or bed, or control of bowel or bladder problems, requiring any of the following: wheelchair, electric scooter, or oxygen equipment to assist with breathing except for sleep apnea. That same question or similar question with another carrier in the knockout section that's going to ask about those ADLs, here's another one. In the past 12 months, has the proposed insured been medically diagnosed with diabetes or been controlled for uncontrolled diabetes of any complications thereof, including numbness, amputation, circulation, eye or kidney disorder, coma or insulin shock, needed assistance or personal supervision to perform any activities of daily living, had or been advised to have brain or heart or circulatory surgery, had chronic respiratory disease such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or emphysema, been treated with oxygen, been diagnosed with heart disease or had myocardial infarction or heart-related chest pain, or been confined to a nursing facility or received inpatient services at a medical facility for more than 48 continuous hours. So my point in having both of these similar questions, even though the second one gets into more conditions than the first one, is this first example says, are you currently? The second one says in the past 12 months. So if you have someone who within the past 12 months happened to be in a facility for whatever reason, maybe they just had a knee replacement and decided to go to a facility for rehab and are no longer there, the first question is actually going to be more in their favor because it says, are you currently, instead of in the last 12 months. Have you ever received or been advised to receive an organ or bone marrow transplant or had an amputation due to complications of diabetes? Has the proposed insured had a medical test or not yet received the results or been advised to have surgery or received medical treatment? In the past 2 years, has the proposed insured been diagnosed with, been treated for, or advised by a physician or healthcare provider to receive treatment for any form of cancer except basal or squamous cell skin cancer? So these are some examples from various carriers off their applications of the knockout questions. It's going to be section 1, determining whether or not they are eligible for any of the options. Any yes answers to these questions would result in a decline. So to go through a few more questions, these are questions that are going to determine if the applicant falls into level. Of course, these would have to be no in order to be eligible for the level product, or if they fall into a graded or a modified option. The first one is within the past 2 years, have you had or been diagnosed with angina, heart attack, cardiomyopathy, or any type of heart or circulatory surgery, stroke or TIA, brain tumor, or aneurysm? Has the proposed insured ever received care or treatment for or been advised by a physician or healthcare provider to seek treatment for diabetes before age 50 or diabetes at any age with complications of eye, kidney, nerve, or PVD or PAD? This one is, do you have diabetes and diagnosed by a medical profession before age 40 in combination with any heart or circulatory disorder diagnosed by a medical professional requiring 40 or more units of insulin daily? So here's another example where 2 different carriers have questions on diabetes. This one says, have you ever, and before age 50. This one is before age 40. So if you have someone who is diagnosed at age 46 and never had any complications, that second question option application is going to be more in their favor than the first diabetic question that I gave you an example of. In the past 4 years, has the proposed insured received care or treatment for, or been advised by a physician or healthcare provider to seek treatment for cancer, leukemia, melanoma, or any other internal cancer, chronic kidney disease, systemic lupus or scleroderma, bipolar depression, schizophrenia, Parkinson's disease, or multiple sclerosis? So this is going to give you an idea of they can have had major medical conditions in their history and still qualify for level if it's been longer than the time frames they're asking for, or they can still qualify for a graded or a modified options even if it's falling within that time frame, because these are not our knockout questions. These are, you know, in the past 4 years and in the past 2 years, have you had these? How to quote final expense. Matt gave you some great options of some tools that you have available. You actually saw one of the rate sheets that he had pulled up. They're very simple. You have the face amount across the top, male and female across the top, and your issue age down the left-hand side. move along and it'll actually show you what the monthly premiums are. There are some calculators available that are kind of a mobile quoting platform. You just plug in the information it's asking for, and it'll pop up a premium number for you right on your screen. Software programs. There are a few of our carriers, like Mutual of Omaha and Assurity, that offer full software programs that can be utilized as a web platform or downloaded right from inside the producer websites, and they will give you those full illustrations. If any of you like to have those full illustrations for a presentation versus just using a quick calculator, that's where you're going to get those. And, of course, the mobile apps that are available for your smartphones. Those are free to download from the carriers that are offering them. You put them right on there, run your quick calculation, premiums right there. I'm just going to go through a sales process for you really quickly so you can see what the application is going to do once it's been sold. Of course, some of these you have an option of electronic or a paper app. For your carriers that absolutely require that telephone interview at the point of sale, you're going to be working with a paper app. Forrester's was the example I gave. That is the most common one that is used for that process. So you have your required point of sale, you fill out the application, get the signature, make the phone call, and then once the interviewer completes the questions with your applicant, you're going to have an answer right then. It's going to be level, graded, declined. They're going to tell you right then and there what they're being offered. So then you're going to send that paper application in, and they're going to issue the file. It's going to take them 2 to 4 days to pull up the information into their new business system. They're going to data enter everything. They're going to print the policy, and they're going to mail it to you, the agent. It's done. Like I said, you're going to know right then. So it's going to be a 2 to 4 day process, and the entire policy is completed. Now, if you are selling a carrier that does not require the point of sale interview and you elect not to do it because all of the ones that give you the option, it is an option. It's not required, but you can do that, or you can wait and see if it is required. So let's say you complete the application and you send it in. You're going to let the system or the underwriter decide if they want that phone interview. The application is going to enter into the database for new business. Many of them will go through an automated system process of they'll pull up the MIB in the prescription database and verify it with the questions that was plugged in. If it doesn't match up, they're going to kick it out. But if it does match up, everything's good, you're going to get the approval notice or the decline notice, and then it's going to be issued or closed. And again, that's going to be, I'd say, roughly 2 to 7 days. I have seen some go in and they're issued as quickly as the ones that require that point of sale interview. You know, they're done within 1 to 2 days, and sometimes it'll take up to a week for them to complete everything. Now, if you put that application in and it gets kicked out of that automated system, the underwriter checks it and says, okay, we need the phone interview. We got to verify some information because this is not matching up with what is on the application. That could take as long as it takes for them to get a hold of your client. So you're going to have that delay in there. However many days that takes is how big of a delay you're going to have. And if your applicant is one of those oversharers that tends to not necessarily hear or understand that the interviewer is only asking for a specific amount of time, that's also going to hinder this process. And then we would have to go through an appeal, or we would have to put it in somewhere else and you would have to resell the application. So just keep that in mind, that that's a possibility. But once that phone interview is done, however many delays that is, of course, then will either be approved or declined, and the policy will then be issued. So with the first two processes, you're looking at 2 to 4 days or 2 to 7 days. With the other one, it could be the same amount of time if you have an applicant who answers their phone quickly and answers all of those questions and gets them done, or if you have someone that's just hard to get a hold of or doesn't want to mess with that, that's going to cause a significant delay. So why sell final expense? Well, there's always a lot of very good reasons, but of course the most common reason is people are going to need this coverage. Like Matt said, people are retiring from their jobs and they didn't think to purchase those individual policies on their own, so they are losing those employer-sponsored plans, and now they're sitting there with no coverages and they need to get something. That's one reason. Another is, of course, the average cost of your funeral. That average cost does not include cemetery charges, grave space, or markers. So that's another that you're going to have to add on there. Could be $12,000 or more by the time you add all three of those charges. So there's definitely a need for that type of coverage. Opportunity is another one. This is huge. We are looking at baby boomers coming into retirement at this point in time, and right now we are seeing approximately 75 million Americans that make up that market, and every year, which we are right in the beginning of this, the beginning stages, because the statistic was released in 2014, you are seeing approximately 3 million baby boomers reach retirement age each year. So you're talking 3 million a year. People that need this coverage, that are losing employer-sponsored plans and weren't ready for that or weren't thinking ahead to buy those individual policies on their own before retirement ended. So that is a huge, huge marketplace of people who are going to be looking for burial policies. Cross-selling opportunities that are available in a marketplace, of course, many of you know about Medicare supplements. It's the very first thing that people think about when they think about the senior market, in addition to the final expense. Well, we have had, over the last couple of years, several agents asking for senior-issued critical illness plans. With Mutual of Omaha, we have lump sum critical illness plans, the heart attack and the stroke and the cancer standalone plans having the highest issue ages of up to age 89. So if you have someone who is interested in those, we have plans available. This is something that has been coming up more and more. Seniors that are retiring are concerned with getting these critical illnesses. These plans can help. Children's whole life. As I mentioned, a surety's issue age minimum is 0, so that's going to be 6 months and 1 day approximately. We can issue children's policies with a surety. That would require a parent signature, or Mutual of Omaha has a children's whole life policy that a grandparent can purchase without having to track down mom or dad. You can sell it right then and there to the grandparent. You can fit 8 children on a 2-page application. It's going to ask 2 medical history questions of the children, and they are done quickly. This has been a market that has been increasing with our senior agents drastically over the last 12 months, and it's a very good policy. It comes with 4 ages in which they can purchase additional coverage without any evidence of insurability, specific birthdays throughout the rest of their life. So this is an excellent policy. Grandparents can buy it. You don't have to track down mom or dad. You can sell it right there. And we know grandparents love to talk about their grandchildren. So if you can get them talking about the grandkids, this may be an additional sale for you while you are right there. Senior dental. We have senior dental plans available. This is something that has also been growing. The older we get, the more work our teeth need. So keep those in mind. If you're interested in plans for that sort of thing, we have those available as well. Carriers that we have available, you saw those on the dashboard in your RetireCo dashboard. These are just, of course, the logos, but we have multiple carriers available. And again, not everyone is going to be the perfect fit for each applicant, so we have multiple options. Incentives. This is something several of our carriers offer every year. Sometimes you will see cash bonus plans or contests. Some of them will offer e-application contests throughout the year. Little things that will only last 1 to 3, maybe 4 months that you'll see. But many of these carriers offer year-long contests based on production. One of those is Aetna. Anybody who qualifies with them in 2017 will go on a trip with them in 2018. Same thing with Assurity. They're taking their 2017 qualifiers to Australia in 2018. United Home Life, they're taking their qualifiers on a cruise of the Baltic Sea. Mutual of Omaha is taking qualifiers to Ireland. Foresters is going out west. And here at Stevens Matthews, we don't care what carrier you're selling. If you qualify for us in 2017, you're going to Cancun with us. So there's a lot of opportunity here to get a trip based on your production. And again, additional information or help with any of these products you should be able to locate in your RetireCo dashboard. It's very impressive, great tool to be utilizing. And this is my contact information here at our office if any of you wanted to contact me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tessa. I think you really covered all the bases for us, and really a wealth of information there. So for all of you on the call today, understand that, as always, this material will be available later. You can revisit that in your dashboard and continue to refresh yourself on this information. As Tessa pointed out, all of her contact information is here. She's been very kind to provide direct dial information right into her, as well as her personal email and other information you need to reach out to her if you have specific questions. Also keep in mind you can access our entire team from within your dashboard. And again, we've taken it under our products tab, life insurance, and then final expense, keeping in mind the traditional tab is going to take you to the traditional products, the term and the UL and the normal products on that side of it. So again, we're really excited about the final expense marketplace. Hopefully this presentation's helped you get a little bit more excited about the marketplace. And again, you can find that information, products, life insurance, and the tab will be under final expense. With that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into some of the Q&A. We had a lot of questions that came in during the presentation. I tried to do my best with my associate here to kind of cross these off when we saw one that was being answered by Tessa, and obviously her presentation did a fantastic job covering a lot of bases, because we crossed off over 2/3 of the questions that people were submitting via the chat. So fantastic. Thank you, Tessa. That's awesome to see so much of this has already been covered. But just a couple of questions here, and what I'll do is just kind of start running through these for you. Tessa, the first question that we have here is, would an agent choose whether or not the death benefit's level or graded, or is that something the carrier decides?
That is something the carrier decides. That's determined based on the questions that are answered and how they're answered, because you have those multiple sections of medical history questions. In order to qualify for level, every single section must have all no answers.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. As I say, if we get into yes answers in section 2, you're going to fall into a graded or a modified category. Any yes answers in the first section is going to be a decline. Those are what you call your knockout questions.
Perfect. Next question that we had, when looking at the guaranteed issue products, are any of the rates, I believe this is the question they're asking, are any of the rates or the premium prices based on height and weight of the client? No.
Guaranteed issue does not take height and weight or medical history of any kind into consideration. It is based on how much coverage you're purchasing and what your issue age is.
Okay. A basic one here, do any of the carriers offer discounts or pricing for couples or spouses?
No.
All right. Okay. What does the average premium and death benefit amount look like for a typical senior buyer?
For someone who qualifies in the level, meaning all the medical history questions are answered no, an average is going to be about $15,000 in death benefit. Someone who's falling into graded, we typically see an average of about $8,000 in death benefit. And premiums, an annual premium, our average is about $800 a policy.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit about carriers that offer, I think the question is, you know, electronic applications or really easy application processes?
The carriers that offer the electronic applications, which are going to be Assurity, Mutual of Omaha, the AIG Guaranteed Issue Platform, most of those are done by iGo iPipeline platform, and they are very simple. Your applicant would need their own email address if they are not physically in your presence to do that e-signature.
Understood. Question we have, is there a big or significant difference in both the premium and the death benefit between the simplified issue and the guaranteed issue?
There can be if you're looking at, well, we have 3 guaranteed issue carriers. We have AIG, we have Kemper Senior Solutions, and United Home Life. Kemper and United Home Life have the highest premiums of the 2. You would see a significant increase in premium for those products. AIG Guaranteed Issue is the most price competitive of the 3 that we offer, and their premium would be a little bit more than what a graded or a modified option would be. I actually had a couple of examples where we had a client I was working with one of our agents on that qualified in a graded category for one of our other carriers on a simplified platform, and AIG's Guaranteed Issue plan actually was $2 to $3 cheaper. And they didn't have to do any underwriting whatsoever. So
that's great. A question here we have, and I can answer part of this, and maybe Tess, I'll have you touch on half of it. But the question was, are commission advances available? And the answer is yes. Advances up to either what you might call 75% of annual or 9 months commission advances are available. Tessa, I know there's a couple circumstances where that might not be the case. Could you just touch on those very basically?
Well, the carriers that we have, you should see advances as an option. I know Kemper Senior Solutions, as an example, does not offer advances at all. And that's because it's a guaranteed issue product. And that's common. Not all of them are doing that. United Home Life's not doing that. AIG's not doing that. But for the most part, I don't think any of them should not be doing advances, really.
Okay, perfect. Are any? Basically, the question is, do any of the carriers offer a group rate by any chance?
Then a work site?
Correct. I believe that's what the question's going towards.
Okay. If we're looking at work site, there are some options available with Assurity Life Insurance. It's the only one that I'm going to have. That would require 1 to 2 additional pieces of contracting, where if you're going to do worksite voluntary enrollment, that is an option that they have for their entire portfolio. Everybody else would just be strictly individual, and there's not even a way to add a husband and a wife together. Everybody gets their own application and their own policy.
Great. Okay. Good to know. I think we've answered these. A couple of these questions I can probably handle. We got these earmarked for me. If I'm appointed with a final expense carrier, can I sell all of that carrier's products? I can kind of jump in on this one. And basically what you'll find is with a lot of the final expense contracts, it's going to include some other products alongside of that. So you're going to want to kind of reference that carrier by carrier as to what products you're able to sell under that contract. With most of the final expense carriers, and Tessa, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is kind of a universal contract, obviously, across the country, whereas with some of our other product lines, they may be broken down even by state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay. Next question we had, are there any carriers offering death benefits over $100,000 for seniors? I can answer that, of course. It's certainly possible to go above and beyond the $100,000 outside of the final expense space. Currently, I believe we're kind of capped on the death benefit at $100,000 within the final expense products. But I can tell you quite honestly, we've had million-dollar-plus cases for people in their 70s that have been written on the universal life and even some of the other whole life products that are out there. So certainly other products available where, you know, really the sky's the limit if the client is healthy enough. Just keep in mind, final expense product is really geared to be a very simple or even a guaranteed issue. So it's a very easy product. It's a very non-invasive, in most cases, it's a non-medical procedure. If you have a client in their 70s looking for millions of dollars in life insurance, be prepared for a lot of underwriting. So again, the final expense and the sub $100,000 death benefit is designed to be a lot easier type of product, but again, the sky is the limit, and we do have products available that take the death benefit as high as you'd like. Okay, I think we've actually kind of covered all of the major product-specific questions. We did have a couple of questions that had came through from a few of you regarding different programs and things available around this marketplace. We also have a couple of specific case or client type of questions that I won't get into here on the call, but we'll follow up with you individually one-on-one. If there's anything that we need to bring Tessa in for to answer any of those individual product questions, we'll get her involved as well to get those answered for you. But in essence of time here, we are approaching the end of the hour, and I just wanted to wrap everything up and truly thank everybody for their time today. A big thank you, Tessa, for being with us today. We really appreciate having you. Fantastic job, and as I mentioned, 60% of the questions that came through you had already answered in your presentation, so just a testament to the great job you're doing there and the excellent training that's being provided by you and your team. So with that, again, I just would like to encourage everyone, if you haven't already, make sure you log into your dashboard, click on products, scroll down to life insurance, and go ahead and open that final expense tab. You're going to find that the platform that we've put together for you there really encompasses everything you need. You have the direct access and support and contact personnel that you need therein. You have access to all of the carrier contracting and the instructions to complete that right from your dashboard. And then you're also, when you're ready to sell product, you have the rate guides, the ability to download the mobile apps, the ability to access those online or mobile calculators. It's all built right into that tab in your dashboard, and that really goes across all of those final expense carriers that we talked about. And again, what's so important to us here is really having the best options for your clients and the most suitable products and being able to do what's in their best interest. And what we found with this portfolio of products from Stevens Matthews is you can really do that in the final expense space. There's a lot of different ways to look at these products. As Tessa mentioned, the way the questions are asked and being answered by the client can really help you decipher which product might be the best fit, depending on how long ago something has happened to a client, or if it's a current situation or something that was a few years ago. So again, we really are excited about the product mix that we have. We're thrilled to say there's 9-month commission advances available on nearly all of these products, again, with the exception, I believe, of Kemper. And then aside from that, we have the top compensation available in the country right now. That's really kind of due to our relationship with all of you as both a RetireCo partner agent or agency in a wholesale type capacity. So really excited to have this all put together. A big thanks again to you, Tessa, and thank everyone for being on the call here today.